It's Friday night. You pull into the gas station like you've done 1,000 times. Same pump, same habit, same life. You slide the card, declined. You try again, declined. You look around, embarrassed, like it's your fault, like you did something wrong. You laugh it off. Glitch. So you drive to the ATM. The screen is bright. Buttons work. Everything looks normal. But it won't give you your money. It just spins. And spins. Like a slot machine that never pays. Now imagine this. You go home. You open your banking app. Your balance is still there. Every penny. But the withdraw button? Gray. Dead. Locked. Not broken. Not a bug. A decision. Because temporary emergency measures just became permanent. And that's the moment most people finally understand the game. Not when the market drops. Not when the headlines scream. Not when the talking heads start sweating. They understand it when they can't touch what they thought they owned. That's the lie they sold you. They told you money in a bank is safe. They told you paper promises are guaranteed. They told you the government has your back. They don't. They never did. Most people think the danger is the crash, the drop, the panic. They think once the crash happens, it's over. No, that's the trick. The crash is the distraction. The real move happens after the crash. And right now, gold and silver just did something that should make your stomach tighten. Silver snapped back. A 10% bounce in a day. Gold, up to 9%, back above $5,000. And that raises the question nobody on television wants you asking. Was the crash overblown? Or was it the system shaking you out before the next leg up? Because the sleeping herd sees volatility. The awakened few see a message. And the message is simple. They're losing control. Here's what just happened. In plain English, gold ran hard. Then it got slammed. Not gently corrected, slammed. A one-day fall over 9%. Silver got hit even worse. A brutal plunge. Then, like a bungee cord, snap. Straight back up. That isn't normal. That isn't price discovery. That isn't healthy market action. That's a casino with a rigged wheel, and you are not the house. When gold and silver move like that, it's not retirees buying a few coins. It's leverage. Margin, forced selling. A margin call doesn't care if you're right. It doesn't care if you're early. It doesn't care if you've been saving for 40 years. It only cares if you're liquid. And that's why the crash came so fast. The headlines will hand you a bedtime story. Profit taking. Dollar strength. Technical levels. Cute words, like spraying cologne on a house fire. Here's the truth. When the system feels stress, it squeezes. Liquidity dries up. Spreads widen. Deals vanish. And paper gold and paper silver start acting like a Jenga tower in a windstorm. One block slips. Another block slips. Then the whole thing shakes. And after the damage is done, they let it bounce. That bounce matters because it reveals the hidden mechanism. Confidence is what backs the system. Not cash, not gold. Confidence. And confidence is cracking. Let's make this painfully clear. You don't own what you can't control. If your wealth lives inside someone else's system, it's theirs first. You're not an owner. You're a customer. A user, a line item. And the ultimate safety net people cling to? FDIC. They say, my deposits are insured. Okay, let's use their own rules. Deposit insurance is $250,000 per depositor, per insured bank, per ownership category. Sounds comforting. Until you think like an adult. First, that limit is real. If you have more than that parked in one category at one bank, you're exposed. That's not opinion. That's the rule. Second, insurance is not the same as instant access. Even when banks fail, there can be delays, transfers, weekend freezes, processing, new account numbers, new rules, new restrictions. Now add a real crisis, not one bank, many. That's when the safety net turns into a spider web, sticky, restrictive, and you're the fly. And here's the line you need tattooed on your brain. This isn't a theory, this is math. The system runs on debt. More debt is required to keep it alive, so the system must grow the debt forever. And when the debt grows faster than the real economy, somebody pays every time. Not the politicians, not the insiders, not the people who create the money. You, the saver, the retiree, the person who did everything right. Because debt isn't just a number. Debt is a claim on your future. And when the system gets cornered, it turns that claim into a weapon. This is the part nobody wants to imagine. So I'm going to force it. Imagine this. It's not a market crash. It's a policy weekend. A press conference on Sunday. Smiling suits, flags behind them, serious faces pretending to care. They say, don't panic. We're protecting you. This is for stability. This is to stop speculation. This is to stop disinformation. This is to keep you safe. And Monday morning, new rules. Withdrawals are capped just for a few days. Transfers are reviewed just to prevent fraud. Purchases are flagged just to stop money laundering. And your retirement lifestyle shrinks. You go to buy a used car. The seller wants cash. The bank says, we can't release that much right now. You go to help your grandson with rent. Your transfer is pending verification. You go to stock up on groceries. Your card works until it doesn't, because the system doesn't have to steal your money outright. It just has to control your access. That's the trap. And this is why the gold and silver volatility matters. Because when paper markets whip around like a tornado, it's a warning flare, a signal. Hard assets are trying to reprice to reality while the system tries to keep you inside the corral. And in times like these, the government never says, we're taking your freedom. They say, we're modernizing, we're upgrading, we're improving efficiency, digital convenience. They wrap the cage in gift paper, and people clap like seals because they're asleep. But the awakened few hear the real message: programmable money, money with rules, money that can say, no, you can't buy that. No, you can't withdraw that. No, you can't travel there. No, you can't donate to them. No, you can't move that much this month. No, you can't do it without permission. Now imagine this. You try to buy gasoline, denied, because you hit your monthly limit. You try to buy a plane ticket, denied, because your risk score changed. You try to pull out cash, denied, because cash fuels the underground economy. You think I'm exaggerating? Remember this. Every control system is sold as a safety system. A cage always comes with a ribbon. And once it's built, it doesn't get removed. It gets tightened. That's the lifestyle hit retirees never see coming. Not losing everything overnight, being slowly choked. A little limit here, a little rule there, a little delay, a little verification, a little for your protection. Until one day you wake up and realize you worked your whole life to become a renter in your own financial life. So what do? You don't beg the casino for fairness. You walk out of the casino. You don't argue with the Titanic crew about water temperature. You find a lifeboat. And no, physical gold and silver are not get rich quick. That's not what this is. This is survival. This is freedom. This is bearer assets. Meaning, if you hold it, you own it. No password, no pending. No system outage, no customer service line, no automated voice telling you to press 1 for account access, just value in your hand. That's why gold and silver have outlived every paper promise in history. Empires rise, empires fall. Currencies come, currencies go. Promises are made, promises are broken. But metal stays metal. And here's the part the sleeping herd doesn't understand. Gold and silver aren't just investments. They're insurance against betrayal. Because paper wealth has a fatal weakness: counterparty risk. Say it slowly. Counter. Party. Risk. If your wealth depends on a bank, the bank is the counterparty. If your wealth depends on a broker, the broker is the counterparty. If your wealth depends on a government guarantee, the government is the counterparty. And the counterparty can fail, or freeze, or change the rules. And when they change the rules, they will call it responsible. Physical metal does something radical. It removes the middleman. It turns you into something the system hates: independent. It's the difference between owning your home and renting it from a landlord who can rewrite the lease whenever he wants. Now let's connect this to what just happened with the bounce. Gold didn't just rise, it snapped back. Silver didn't just recover, it exploded upward. Why? Because big money knows something. When confidence cracks, people run back to what's real. They don't run back to promises. They don't run back to speeches. They don't run back to, we assure you. They run back to weight, to substance, to something you can hold. And yes, silver is more volatile. It's a smaller market. It whips harder. It scares people out faster. That's why the system loves using silver like a rodeo bull, to throw you off, to shake you loose, to make you sell at the bottom and swear you'll never touch it again. But the rebound tells you demand is still there. And gold? Gold is the king, the anchor. When gold is back above 5,000 after a historic sell-off, that's not nothing. That's a signal. The crash didn't fix the problem, it exposed it. So here's the mindset shift you need. Stop asking, what's the price? Start asking, what's the exit? Because the exit is about control, and control is the only real wealth. That's why I call it this: be your own central bank. Not in theory, in practice. Hold something that doesn't require permission. Hold something that doesn't disappear when a screen goes dark. Hold something that can't be updated into a cage. Now, a hard truth: most people will do nothing. They'll watch headlines. They'll listen to talking heads. They'll trust the same people who printed the problem. They'll say, it's probably fine. They'll say, they wouldn't do that. They'll say, this is America. They'll say, the government can't touch my money. And then one day they'll panic at the worst moment, at the top of fear, when shelves are thin, when lines are long, when the exits are crowded, and they'll beg for an exit when the door is already half shut. Don't be them. Be early. Be calm. Be prepared. Because preparation is quiet. Panic is loud. And loud gets punished. Imagine this. It's 6 months from now. You're not frantic. You're not pacing. You're not staring at a frozen banking app. You're not calling a bank hotline that never answers. You're sitting at your table. You open a drawer and you see it. Real money, real metal, a lifeboat. That doesn't mean you win. It means you're not helpless. It means you're not trapped inside someone else's rules. It means your family has options. It means you can breathe. That is the difference between fear and power. Now let's talk about what happens next, because this is where most people get fooled. After a violent crash and bounce, the system tries to calm you down. It tries to hypnotize you. It tries to put you back to sleep. You'll hear, crisis averted. Markets stabilized. Back to normal. Back to normal. That phrase should scare you more than any headline, because normal is what got us here. Normal is endless spending. Normal is endless printing. Normal is officials promising you they can control something nobody can control. Normal is the Titanic speeding up after hitting the iceberg. Normal is the band playing louder while the deck tilts. And here's the truth about these rebounds. Sometimes they are real. Sometimes they are traps. But either way, they reveal something. They reveal that the demand for hard assets is not dead. It's waiting, it's watching, it's learning. And the system knows it. That's why you see paper games, sudden drops, violent pops, headlines timed to fear, analysts paid to confuse you. The goal is simple. Make you doubt, make you freeze, make you sell, make you surrender. Because a population that owns real assets is harder to control. A population that can walk away is dangerous. That's why the messaging is always the same. They mock gold buyers. They mock silver buyers. They call it barbarous. They call it a relic. They call it a doomsday trade. But behind closed doors, they hold it. They stack it. They insure themselves. And they expect you to do the opposite. That's the US versus them line you need to see. Us, the people who saved. The people who worked. The people who played by the rules. The people who planned for retirement. Them, the people who change the rules. The people who print the money. The people who bail out their friends, the people who call it policy. Now let's get brutally practical. If you only own paper claims on metal, you may not own metal. A paper promise is not a bar. A digital line in a brokerage account is not a coin in your hand. In a calm world, that difference feels small. In a crisis, that difference is everything, because when chaos hits, everyone learns the same lesson. A claim is only as good as the counterparty, and counterparties break. They freeze accounts. They halt trading. They change settlement rules. They temporarily suspend withdrawals. They do it with a smile and a press release. And people accept it because they have no alternative. That's why physical matters. Not because you're trying to beat the market, because you're trying to beat the trap. Now I want you to picture the average retiree. Fixed income, rising costs, medical bills, grandkids, a mortgage you thought you'd be done with, a pension you pray stays intact, a portfolio that you watch like a hawk. You don't have time to recover from a policy mistake. You don't have a decade to wait. You don't get to restart your career at 68. So when the system plays games, you can't afford to be a spectator. You need a lifeboat, not a lecture. And that brings us back to the move you're seeing right now. A crash, then a snapback. That's a stress signal. It's the sound of the system's gears grinding. It's like your car making a noise you've never heard before. You can ignore it. You can turn up the radio. You can pretend it's fine. Or you can pull over before the engine seizes. This is the pullover moment, because the next phase isn't just about prices. It's about rules, and rules can change overnight. If you think they can't, remember this. They already did it before. They changed bank rules. They changed interest rate rules. They changed retirement rules. They changed tax rules. They changed what counts as legal tender. They changed what you can write off. They changed what you can deduct. They changed what you can keep. And they did it in the name of stability. So when you hear stability, hear control. When you hear modernization, hear tracking. And when you hear efficiency, hear permission. Now, none of this means you should live in fear. Fear is what the system feeds on, but awareness is what breaks the spell. And that's what this channel is about. Currency Rewind is not here to entertain you. It's here to wake you up. Because the people who win in these moments aren't the loudest. They're the prepared. They're the ones who quietly move before the crowd. They're the ones who built options. They're the ones who refuse to be trapped. So here's the decision in front of you. You can keep trusting the same system that created the problem, or you can start building your own safety. And safety isn't a promise. Safety is possession. It's holding something real, something outside the digital cage, something outside the reach of a keystroke, something that doesn't require permission to exist. If you want to survive what's coming, subscribe to Currency Rewind, not for entertainment, for awareness, for timing, for the truth when the television is lying. Because the next crash won't just be numbers on a screen, it will be the rules of the game changing overnight. And when they change the rules, the sleeping herd will ask, how did this happen? The awakened few will say, we saw it. One last thought. Gold and silver don't need an app. They don't need a bailout. They don't need a committee meeting. They don't need your trust. They just sit there, patient, honest, heavy. While the system lies, and when the lies finally collapse, only the truth holds weight.